10 weirdest movies of all time. Movies nobody's heard of. Cinema is easily the most entertaining art form, but it is also an art form that allows its makers to experiment. In that sense, it is like painting. One can argue that while painters are encouraged to be different and weird, filmmakers aren't as much. Hello everyone, this is Moviee Tube. Please don't forget to click subscribe if you want more updates. And yet, there are filmmakers who dare to be different, who dare to be weird, even though weird doesn't necessarily mean good unless you are David Lynch or Michael Haneke. But this article is devoted to films that are both weird and good. It's a very diverse list overall, and that's highlighted by just how strange some choices are. It's understandable for select movies within the many titles to get a little weird, but there are some truly wild and highly experimental films in there that make for challenging watches. To highlight some of the most offbeat, unexpected, or even downright bizarre films within the list, here are 10 of the strangest movies that are a must-see before you die. Number 10. Me and You and Everyone We Know, 2005. Me and You and Everyone We Know is a poetic and penetrating observation of how people struggle to connect with one another in an isolating and contemporary world. Christine Jespersen is a lonely artist and elder cab driver who uses her fantastical artistic visions to draw her aspirations and objects of desire closer to her. Richard Sversi, a newly single shoe salesman and father of two boys, is prepared for amazing things to happen. But when he meets the captivating Christine, he panics. Life is not so oblique for Richard's 6-year-old Robbie, who is having a risque internet romance with a stranger, and his 14-year-old brother Peter, who becomes the guinea pig for neighborhood girls practicing for their future of romance and marriage. Number 9. Irreversible, 2002. Events over the course of one traumatic night in Paris unfold in reverse chronological order as the beautiful Alex is brutally raped and beaten by a stranger in the underpass. Her boyfriend and ex-lover take matters into their own hands by hiring two criminals to help them find the rapist so that they can exact revenge. I know it is a very disturbing film, but at the same time, I think it has a clear message in it. A simultaneously beautiful and terrible examination of the destructive nature of cause and effect, it is a film that shows how cruel time can be. Number 8. The Kingdom, 1994. Arguably, one of the strangest things about The Kingdom being on a list of movies to watch before you die is the fact that it's technically a miniseries. More specifically, it's one that was edited into two movies, themselves about 4.5 hours long each, with the first of those movies being included on the list. Of course, even if we're to call it a movie, it's strange in other ways. It comes from the mind of Lars von Trier, who's a controversial filmmaker known for making films that are bizarre or heartbreaking, with the movie's plot concerning a hospital plagued by strange phenomena, sometimes of the supernatural variety. The length and bizarre premise may be a turn-off for some, but otherwise, this is easier to approach than many of the strangest experimental films that otherwise make up some of the weirdest movies within cinema history. Number 7. Donnie Darko, 2001. During the presidential election of 1988, a teenager named Donnie Darko sleepwalks out of his house one night and sees a giant, demonic-looking rabbit named Frank, who tells him the world will end in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. He returns home the next morning to find that a jet engine has crashed through his bedroom. As he tries to figure out why he survived and tries to deal with people in his town like the school bully, his conservative health teacher, and the self-help guru, Frank continues to turn up in Donnie's mind, causing him to commit acts of vandalism and worse. Number 6. Naked Lunch, 1991. In this David Cronenberg sci-fi drama, an exterminator and his wife become addicted to a chemical he uses to kill insects. The exposure to the bug powder causes him to hallucinate and later accidentally kill his wife. As is to be expected, his wife is never the same again. Delving further into the new fantasy world his addiction has unveiled to him, He comes to see himself as a secret agent who's trying to find his way out of a conspiracy while reporting to strange creatures. Perhaps the most unsettling moment of it all is when we're first introduced to the insect-like typewriter that William Lee uses to type up his findings. Number 5. Hold Me While I'm Naked, 1966. Arguably one of the earlier examples of a comedic movie about making movies. Hold Me While I'm Naked runs for just 17 minutes and is loosely about an independent filmmaker trying to make a film that will be seen as important and artistic, due to it being included among the 1001 movies you must see before you die list. The director, George Cukor, arguably managed to do just that with his film about trying to be relevant. As for the movie itself, it's not the worst, but it's a challenging watch at points, despite its brevity. The style of crude, messy humor would go on to become popular in the late 1960s and 1970s, thanks to directors like John Waters. So at least, Hold Me While I'm Naked has a place in film history in that regard. Number 4. Delasin. The story is centered on a microcosm of a post-apocalyptic society where food is so rare it's invaluable and is used as currency. The story centers on an apartment building with a delicatessen on the ground floor. The owner of the eatery also owns the apartment building, and he is in need of a new maintenance man since the original mysteriously disappeared. A former clown applied for the job, and the butcher's intent is to have him work for a little while and then serve him to quirky tenants who pay the butcher in, of course, grain. The clown and the butcher's daughter fall in love, and she tries to foil her father's plans by contacting the troglodytes, grain-eating subgroup of society who live entirely underground. The trogs are possibly the most sensible of the lot, as they see food as food and not money. This movie reflects a type of science fiction called La Nouvelle Vague. Number 3. The Piano Teacher, 2001. A deeply disturbing examination. What else can you expect out of Michael Haneke? Of desire and desperation in love. The Piano Teacher may leave you shaken by the time it ends. Not an easy watch by any means. The film will be richly rewarding to only those who patiently and thoughtfully strive to observe its subtle nuances, after having gotten through the initial shock. In the end, and if you look closely, Haneke's message with this film is, love has many shades and not all of them are beautiful. Before going any further, please do not forget to follow us and subscribe and like our videos. Thank you very much. Number 2. Brazil, 1985. In a society akin to the one featuring Big Brother from the novel 1984, a workaday bureaucrat becomes entranced with the neighbor of a society deceased, and becomes an enemy of the state in the process. It's the visual style of director Terry Gilliam that really lands this science fantasy on this list, as seemingly mundane moments like a plastic surgeon at work become incredibly marked on viewers' minds. Turning an actor like Robert De Niro, known principally for tough guy roles at the time, into the kooky suspected terrorist is another masterstroke by the director of this offbeat film. Number 1. Scorpio Rising, 1963. Kenneth Anger is a hugely influential and important independent filmmaker. He started making short films in the late 1940s and dealt with themes that were radical and ahead of their time. Of all his films, Scorpio Rising might be his best, earning its spot in the 1001 movies list. It's got a great soundtrack throughout, and centers on a man preparing for some sort of bizarre, nightmarish, cult-like motorcycle rally. It's odd, dark, and above all else, surprisingly hypnotic. Thank you very much for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and support us by liking our videos and sharing them.